Okay, so this is our Welcome to Handshake workshop. My name is Jillian Fariga, and I am the coordinator of Career Services and Outreach here at Woodbury University, and this is our Spring 2021 presentation. So really quickly, I am going to try to put on the captions as well for anyone that might need those. Just to give you an overview of what we will be talking about today, I am going to give you an overview of who I am and my contact information. I'm going to give you a little bit of information about career services, and then of course we'll be going into some Handshake basics because that is the main point of this workshop. So, just to give you a little bit of information about who I am and my contact information, again, my name is Jillian Fariga. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the coordinator of Career Services and Outreach here at Woodbury University. I started in the fall semester, so any of you that are new, I am too, and I can't wait to get on campus and to meet with you all. But in the meantime, virtual is going to have to work for now. You can reach me by calling. My phone number is 818-252-5207, or you can always email me, jillian.fariga@woodbury.edu. If you do want any appointments, though, those are going to be through Handshake. And so I will talk about making an appointment as we move forward, but that is one of the features that Handshake has and one of the benefits of being on Handshake as well. Just to give you a little background on me as well, I graduated last May with my master's degree in college counseling and student development from Azusa Pacific University. But before that, I went to Cal Poly Pomona, where I majored in ethnic and women's studies, emphasis in women's studies, and I was also a transfer student from Citrus College. So if any of you all are transfer students, I relate to you. It's so great being a transfer student. So if you ever have any questions as well about any of the schools that I've gone to, or you're considering going any of those routes, feel free to reach out to me about that as well. In regards to other career folks, or if you want other career-related advice, you may also want to be speaking with your faculty, your department chairs, your academic advisor, or any other career-focused staff members for internship or work experience support. And their appointments are going to go through their own process. Only I am on Handshake, and then Catherine with architecture is on Handshake as well. Just to give you a quick overview of what Career Services does. So essentially it can be broken down into these three categories: career counseling, the job search process, and events. And so career counseling might be new for some of you all, and you might not know necessarily what that entails. And so I think the easiest way to kind of explain that is that we would explore career and graduate school options. Maybe you're majoring in psychology and you think the only route you can go is to be a psychologist, and that's not true, of course. There's so many different routes you can take, whether that's the nonprofit route or even working in human resources departments. There's a lot of different ways that you can go with your major, and there's not just one straight shot that you have to go towards. For graduate school, of course, depending on what you want to do in life and depending on your career aspirations, you may need to go to graduate school in order to get the career that you're heading towards. And, as a first-generation student, I was really confused about graduate school options, and I didn't know about, entrance exams and all the letters of rec and all the other things that you had to do with that. So I know it can be very confusing and complicated. And so if you need support with the graduate school process and researching options, we can talk about that as well. One of the other things that I think is really important with career counseling is identifying your unique strengths. And so it sounds kind of cheesy, but essentially what that comes down to is, one of the best ways that we can prepare ourselves for our careers and prepare ourselves for interviews and all the other things that we're going to do in our career is noticing and identifying the things that make us unique and the strengths that we have. If you're working in a career where you're actively using your strengths and you're able to build upon those things, you're going to be a lot happier than if you were in a field where maybe you're, trying to really only work on the things that don't make you as happy or you don't feel as strong in. So identifying your strengths is something that we can go over in a career counseling appointment. Many of you are probably here to learn more about that job search process, which Handshake is a really big part of that. So part of what I can do is, supporting you in finding opportunities. And finding opportunities is something that can happen on Handshake. It can happen off of Handshake. And then, of course, there are employers that reach out to us at Woodbury University every once in a while. And so if you're running into some problems finding an internship or a work experience opportunity, we can always discuss the job searching process and see what other tools we can utilize and what things we can kind of pull out to make that a little bit more successful and easier for you. Resume and cover letter review is probably what most of you all are the most familiar with. So if you find that you are not getting a lot of interviews or you're not hearing back from a lot of folks, that may mean that your resume, cover letter, or other application materials need to be reviewed by another set of eyes to see what you can enhance or maybe reword on those documents to make you a really strong applicant. And then, of course, once you get those interviews, we can do a mock interview together, and it can feel a little awkward, but essentially I would act as an employer or someone who's interviewing you, and you would, of course, be your wonderful self being interviewed, and we would practice questions that you might get asked during an interview. Afterwards, go through some of the ones that were really strong that you should make sure that you're continuing to answer that way, and then go through some questions that maybe were a little bit of a struggle and see what ways we can work on that. Of course, there are events that we do as well. So there's workshops such as this one, and there will be other workshops down the line. And most notably and kind of new is career fairs. So to put it on your radar, we are having a university-wide virtual career fair hosted on the Handshake platform on March 2nd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. So student registration for that is going to open up 2 weeks before the event, and you will be able to register to meet with employers either for 30-minute informational sessions or for one-on-one meetings that are 10 to 20 minutes long. That's a really great opportunity for those of you that are in majors where you have portfolios. You can show that portfolio to the employer, ask any questions, get to know them. So that's just a really great opportunity for you all. So keep an eye out for more information to come about our university-wide virtual career fair. So now we're going to jump into Handshake. And so part of the reason that Woodbury University is partnering with and working with Handshake now is because Handshake is the #1 way that college students are finding jobs. And so this is, for a number of reasons, but one of the reasons that I really like to point out is when you're just kind of looking on Google or Indeed or LinkedIn, those jobs may be for mid-level professionals, or they may be for professionals that are requiring much more work experience than you have at this point in time. When employers are posting on Handshake, they're specifically doing that with the intention and knowing that this is for students, this is for college students. So employers that post on Handshake are looking for students or recent graduates, because you will have access to Handshake when you're an alumni, and so you can always look there for opportunities as well once you've graduated. So there's 4 main reasons why you should use Handshake. So #1, of course, is to get hired. #2 is to get discovered. #3, get connected. And #4, you get it all in one place. So with getting hired, that is the primary focus of Handshake, is to have a central place where all of our job and internship opportunities can be housed, and you can discover and land job and internship opportunities once you see the access for that. #2, with getting discovered, you can get messaged by employers that want to hire you. And so this is something we'll go into more detail on the next few slides, but you can discover other students, and employers can also discover you depending on your privacy settings. And that can be a really great opportunity to get some networking in as well. Number three, kind of connecting with that last point, you can connect with peers not just at Woodbury University, but at other universities across the nation to get tips and advice on your job searching process, on different companies you may be interested in working with, different things like that. And so number four, to sum that all up, you get it in one spot. So from career building resources to events on campus, anything that is career related is going to be housed primarily on Handshake. And so you'll want to make sure that you're connected to Handshake so that you can see all of these great things that are happening. So for number one, getting hired. So depending on where you want to go, more likely than not, they're going to be on Handshake because there's 400,000 employers of all different shapes and sizes, and 100% of the Fortune 500 companies are on Handshake. And so Handshake has specifically given us these slides to kind of highlight some of the larger corporations and businesses that you all may be familiar with. On this slide, you can specifically see Apple and Facebook and Walt Disney, Macy's. So those might be ones that you all are familiar with, but we also have a lot of small local businesses that are beginning to post on there as well. And so whether you want to work for a larger business or you want to work for a smaller business, more likely than not, you'll be able to find something on Handshake that fits the type of company that you would like to work with. Additionally, because there's so many different types of companies, there's job and internships for every path. So there's 3.5 million jobs and internships in every industry in all 50 states and 165 countries. So you can see here, Handshake has highlighted some of these. There's business and finance opportunities like with Goldman Sachs, technology opportunities with Airbnb or Tesla, creative opportunities with Disney, humanitarian with Teach for America or the Peace Corps, natural science opportunities with the CDC, and ones that are out of this world, like working with NASA or Boeing. Last but certainly not least, there's opportunities for all students all year round. So you can gain valuable work experience and make money during the semester. There's over 60,000 part-time listings. And so you can see off to the side, they have a couple of part-time listings here, like working as a farm research intern or a server for Bon Appetit, a cashier for Whole Foods. And so if you're looking for part-time experience to maybe make a little extra money during the semester, or you're trying to build up your resume a little bit more, but don't know that you can handle part-time or you can handle full-time work and full-time student status, which would be really stressful, part-time opportunities would be a really great option for that. And so really quickly, I do just want to highlight our Q&A slide again. If you have any questions with anything I'm going through, go ahead and join slido.com. The number is 8061, and you can ask your questions on there, or you can ask it in the chat. And you can also use the QR code there. So they do have a lot of success stories from Handshake, and Zoe is one of them. So Zoe says, I got my current internship on Handshake, where I've been able to contribute ideas and creativity to major clients like Tim McGraw, Toby Keith, Janet Jackson, and more, right here in Nashville. Juliana is another one who says, as a creative writing major, I was afraid there weren't any jobs for me, but Handshake sent me great recommendations based on my interests and cool companies for creative students that I'd never heard of, like Partisan. Number two is getting discovered. So employers are actively searching for students, and there are over 25,000 searches for students every month on Handshake. So this can be major corporations like the ones I've kind of been talking about, and this can also be the smaller businesses. So once you're on Handshake, this really gives employers an opportunity to know that you even exist, because otherwise, if they're not looking on platforms that you're active on, or they don't know how to search for you, they may not discover the great things that you're doing and the wonderful things that you could contribute to their company. So if you're on Handshake, they can search for you that way. And so the career search isn't a one-way street. If you complete your profile, you're 5 times more likely to be messaged by employers. And so we'll talk about completing your profile later on in the presentation, but you'll see here, Handshake has said that someone from Dunder Mifflin sent you a message on Handshake. So I don't know that that would happen for you all, but there are definitely other employers that would message you depending on, you know, how much you complete your profile and how you meet their interests for a company. Haley is another one of their success stories. And so Haley says, it was amazing. I set up my Handshake profile and shortly afterwards, a recruiter reached out to me. The position was perfect. I set up an interview within a week and got the summer internship. So number 3 is getting connected. You can see company reviews from your classmates and find the best places to work according to them. So you can compare opportunities across thousands of companies because there's over 100,000 reviews from students, 700 schools nationwide, and over 64,000 companies reviewed. So you can see on the right-hand side, these are some screenshots from what the company reviews look like. So they're able to describe what they liked, what they wish was different, and any advice that they have for folks. And so some of you that may be considering interning with larger companies, this would be a really great opportunity to view some advice that other folks have that have gone through that process. There's also a Q&A feature, so you can make the right decisions with information from your classmates and ask any career-related questions to the community. So there's over 1,000 industries and job functions that have questions there. So the questions that they've highlighted are, do Boeing interns get to have a good work-life balance? And specifically for summer analysts, what should I know beforehand to succeed? And so you'll see all of these have different answers from people at different universities. And so you wouldn't just be getting answers or advice from people, you know, at Woodbury, you would be getting it beyond and in the larger, you know, Handshake community as well. There's also peer messaging, so you can ask students questions and tap into a network of experienced students and alumni to get relevant advice on your career journey. So as you navigate Handshake, you'll be able to see students who maybe have similar career interests to you, folks who are majoring in similar disciplines as you, and so it might be good to network with them and build that professional network and those connections now. Before you graduate, because it's so important to network and it's so important to talk with other folks about their experience to really make sure that you are learning and growing from the folks around you. So last but not least, for kind of our Handshake catch-all goodness is you can get it all in one place. So having a Handshake account and using your Handshake account gives you access to career services on campus. So like I mentioned, you can request appointments. That would be resume checks, mock interviews, career planning, and you can register for career fairs or events by using Handshake. So Shelby is another one of those great success stories. They say, by setting up my Handshake profile and selecting my interests, I got emails about different networking events happening on campus. It was so helpful as I was exploring my career interests. Eventually, I attended a lunch and the rest is history. So obviously this isn't going to be happening as much right now since we're in a remote environment, but companies may still have opportunities to do lunch and learn sessions or informational sessions, and they can post those opportunities on Handshake so that you can learn more about them. And as we transition back into person, that may be something that we can have on campus as well, depending on how everything goes. So getting started. This is the part that's maybe going to be a little bit more interactive and hopefully is going to answer a lot of questions you may have. So you can log into the Handshake app by opening your camera and scanning the QR code off to the right-hand side, or you can tap the notification, or you can visit app.joinhandshake.com. So I'm going to leave this up for just a moment so that you can see, get onto Handshake and everything. And then we'll kind of move forward soon. You can also download the app on the App Store or on the Google Play. You know, the Handshake app has a lot of really great reviews, and I think it's pretty user-friendly, so you can also use the app if you don't want to use it on the computer or if you want to use it on the go. That's totally up to you. I would recommend using it on the computer as you're getting started, but you can definitely do it on your phone as well. So, you know, last but not least, when you are on Handshake, you can develop and launch your career. So logging into the Handshake app gives you a chance to kick off your college to career journey because of all the things I had mentioned, these really great networking opportunities with not just employers, but students at Woodbury University and beyond. And it also gives you a really great inside view to what other students are thinking about companies and the internship opportunities available. So I'm going to go through a couple steps for completing your Handshake profile and what this all should look like as you're setting it up. So if you visit the app.joinhandshake.com website, you'll see this page and you'll want to go to the section that says students and alumni for the sign in. So it says, please select your school to sign in, type Woodbury University, and we'll pop up under there. So you might see the seal now instead of this logo. That's totally fine. Either way is fine. As long as it's one of the Woodbury logos, you have found the right one. Go ahead and press single sign on because that is going to be the most convenient way for you to sign on to Handshake. The single sign on option gives you the chance basically to log on to Handshake with your same Woodbury credentials so that you don't have to remember another password and you don't have to remember another username. It's associated with your Woodbury account. So once you've logged on, something to consider when filling out your Handshake profile, like we've talked about, you're going to show up in more recruiter searches and you're going to see more relevant job recommendations. So job recruiters and employers, they can search for students based on their major, based on the year that you're in for your program. So maybe they're specifically looking for seniors because they're looking for folks to transition into full-time roles as they graduate. Maybe they're not looking for someone to do that, and maybe they really want someone who's still a student, so maybe they're searching for juniors. The more details that you can fill out on your profile is going to connect you to more relevant recruiters. And you'll also see more relevant job recommendations that way. Handshake has a really great built-in tool where the more details you provide about yourself and the things that you're looking for, they'll show you more relevant job opportunities. So 80% of students who complete their profile are contacted by an employer. So that's almost every student that is filling out their profile will eventually be contacted by an employer. The right side shows you a screenshot of what a complete profile looks like. And so this person, you know, has included a very nice professional headshot. Off to the side, you can see their journey where they've just typed up a couple sentences about their journey so far and what they kind of want to accomplish. You can also see their education, and then there's a for employers only section that we're going to discuss on the next slide, but that's another part of your profile you want to make sure you are filling out. So like I've mentioned, employers conduct 25,000 student searches a month on Handshake, and making sure that your profile is public and complete makes it easier for recruiters to find you. So part of making your profile public, when your profile is public, it'll be visible to employers, students, and alumni across all Handshake universities, and you'll be able to message students and alumni who have similar interests and experiences, but also note you can change your settings anytime. So if you don't want to have your profile public, that's totally okay, or maybe you do when you're really into your job search, but otherwise you don't want to have it public, that's also fine as well. So part of the way you can change that, your Handshake profile, when you click on the upper right-hand corner where it should either have your picture if you've uploaded one or your initial if you haven't, you click on Settings and Privacy under that profile icon, and you can select Community, which is that public setting. That's going to make you visible to employers, students, and alumni across all Handshake colleges and universities, and students and alumni who have similar interests or experiences. There's two other settings as well that I want to highlight. There's the employer setting, where your profile will be visible to employers and you can receive messages about potential job opportunities. And then there's the private option, where you can still apply for jobs, but you won't get contacted by any employers. I'm going to put the screen up really quick again for the Q&A. If you have any questions, go to slido.com and do the number 8061, or you can scan the QR code. Really quickly, I'll answer this question. For students who are not attending Woodbury, they cannot join our Handshake. You do need a woodbury.edu account to join Handshake. For our platform, but they might have Handshake at their university if they're attending. But otherwise, Handshake is meant for only students affiliated with a college or a university, and their college or university needs to be partnered with Handshake like we are. So going back to this, you want to make sure your profile is complete and get the bar to 100%. So if your profile is only half complete, 50% complete, it'll tell you that off to the side and show you what you need to do. So this profile, for instance, has already added their skills and their documents and their profile picture, which is why those sections are blocked out. But Handshake is next recommending that they add courses to make their profile more complete. So it'll walk you through exactly what steps it would like you to complete so that you can have a bar that's at 100% for your complete profile. So making sure that your profile is complete, a great way to do that is to start with your interests, which is this area down here. So your interests, you want to keep those up to date, and these are the three most important areas. And so your interests, it's important to know, are only visible to employers. So that's part of that recruiting tool as they're searching for folks. These are the kinds of things that they're going to be, these are their search parameters. So the job type, you want to put what kind of job you're looking for, whether that's full-time or part-time, an internship or an on-campus opportunity, and you can select multiple things as well. You don't have to only put that you are looking for one of those. So a lot of you may be doing part-time or internship and maybe even on campus. For the location for where you want to work, those are cities that you would be interested in working in. A lot of you might be selecting areas like Burbank or Los Angeles, but maybe you go home for the summer and that's in a different location. So you can put the city that you might be located in during breaks, or areas that you may want to move to after graduation in that location area so that you're showing up for employers that are hiring in those cities as well. And then last but not least, the roles. You want to put where do you want to work and what roles you're interested in. And so that could be things like product manager, other industries that you're interested in. Things like that are going to be really good for that role section. So if they're hiring for a specific role, they will put that in there. So now this is a screenshot from my student account with Woodbury University. And so this is what your main page should look like when you're on the Handshake account. And so you'll see there's a lot of different tabs here. So you have jobs, employers, community, career paths, events, and then career center, which is career services for us. So I just went ahead and clicked on the job tab to show you what the jobs section looks like. And so I took this screenshot right before the presentation today, and you can see there's 953 jobs posted on Handshake right now. And so it gives you the information for all of these opportunities. It'll give you a little information about the role, when the deadline is, when it was posted on Handshake, any salary information that's there, if they accept remote opportunities, and what the work authorization is for that. A lot of opportunities will also give you the option to apply directly on Handshake. So as you upload documents to your profile, that'll make your process for applying really quick and easy. Or if it wants you to apply externally, it'll have that option there as well. And so it'll take you directly to the website, which makes it way easier to find these opportunities than having to Google, a million different searches to try to find something. On this jobs tab as well, I want to highlight the filters, which can help you find different opportunities. So that's right here if you go to all filters. You can filter by job type. So maybe you're only looking for part-time opportunities or internship opportunities, and you don't want any full-time opportunities to show up, then you can just check those. Job roles, you can add different things there. So they have some suggested ones they'll give you as well as you start to fill out your profile. There's also industries that you can select. So maybe you're interested in working for the government, maybe you're interested in nonprofit work. You can select those industries in that section as well, which is really going to help you filter it down from these almost 1,000 job opportunities. You can also add your major, employer preferences. You can check this box so that you match all employer preferences, because if you're applying to jobs where you're meeting all of the preferences of the employer, it's going to make it much more likely that they'll reach out to you and that you'll have a more successful application process. And for those of you that may need work authorization, these would be helpful boxes to check where they may accept OPT or CPT and whether they will sponsor or they don't require the work visa. Another thing that I want to show with the job section is looking for remote opportunities. So I know for a lot of us right now, we need to look for remote opportunities, or whether that's for our safety or that's just something that's going to work the best for us right now. If you just search the word remote in that box, there's over 180 opportunities right now. And so you can see all of those. You can see when they're fresh, you can see if they're full-time internships, all of that. And they have that option for remote working allowed. So if you're interested in remote work, just search for the word remote and hopefully you'll be able to find some things that fit well with what you want to do. The next tab I want to highlight is the events tab, which is the very next one right next to the jobs. So we have 2 events right now that are on Handshake. The workshop that you all are in right now, which is Welcome to Handshake. And so when you click on those, it'll give you more details. And then also our first annual university-wide career fair is an event that's now listed on there. So I just clicked on that one to give you all an example of what the event page looks like. So it gives you details about what the event is. So it tells you it's going to be Tuesday, March 2nd from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. And it's going to be on the Handshake platform. It has contact information and when you need to register by. So all of that is on Handshake, and that way it could be in one really easy spot for you. The next thing I want to highlight is the Q&A tab. So you can explore questions and answers. The search bar up there gives you the availability to look for anything. Maybe you're looking for interview advice or you're looking for information about Disney. You can search through other questions that folks have asked, and you can browse trending topics over there. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to highlight the Career Services page. And so you can find that by clicking on the Career Services button towards the right-hand side, or when you're on that main profile, it's the one all the way to the right that says Career Center. So here you can find appointments, resources, and surveys. Right now, the primary thing that you're going to click on is appointments, because I'm still in the process of uploading resources and there's no surveys available for you all yet. So the appointments tab is going to be the primary reason you'd go to the Career Services page on Handshake. So once you click on appointments, which is this button down here, it'll ask you to choose a category. So that'll be either School of Business, School of Architecture, School of Media, Culture and Design, or the College of Liberal Arts. This will separate you kind of a little bit depending on what your major is. So folks that are in architecture, clicking on School of Architecture is going to take you to appointment types that are unique for Catherine, who will be setting up her appointments on Handshake. The other 3, the business, MCD, and liberal arts, will be going to me. And so I selected College of Liberal Arts just as a sample to click you through this. And so I have 3 appointment types up on Handshake right now: general career advising, resume or cover letter review, and job or internship search. So I selected resume and cover letter just as an example. And so obviously this is in the past, and I was not taking appointments on Monday the 18th with the holiday, but these would be the appointments that would then be available for resume and cover letter review. So you would select a time that works best for you. If these times don't work well for you, just send me an email and we can schedule you in for something else. But please check Handshake first, because those are the appointments that I've specifically set up, and those are definitely available to be meeting with students. So once you've selected a day and time, it'll take you to this page. The appointment mediums right now are only RingCentral video calls or phone calls, and so you'll select which option it is that you would like, and then add some details so that I can best help you before the appointment. Say it's a resume or cover letter review appointment, maybe add links to jobs that you're applying for or industries that you're interested in. If your resume has worked well or hasn't worked so well for you in the past, those are good details for me to know as well. Any details that you can add that would be helpful, the more the better. And so that is basically Handshake in a nutshell.